I'm Hotep and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for clicking on today's video. Today I had a few topics in mind that I think kind of play off of each other, and they're very closely linked. And that was initiation as well as the topic of gatekeeping in the occult. I must admit, this won't necessarily make me any friends, not anytime soon. But I found myself really just intensely feeling like, wow, I really don't want to listen to very many people talk about ascetianism. One of my first reactions is often, I really don't care what you have to say. And I don't enjoy reading things anymore like I used to. And of course, that is not to say that, people don't have good contributions. That's not to say that, that anybody is by default inferior. And it doesn't mean I haven't met incredible people that I respect and have learned a lot from. I think some of you might kind of know what I mean here. It feels like the public ascetinist community is extremely sanitized. Feels like people love to philosophize about and fantasize about the idea of danger as long as the danger isn't there for them. Danger is like really fun to talk about and fun to think about and fantasize about, especially about occultism, as it relates to magic. It's fun. So fun to think about, right? As long as you know that it's not there for you. That's what a lot of the public people feel like lately. Danger is beautiful and exquisite and alluring. It's fun to make claims, all these claims about being an extremely advanced, gifted occultist in restricted subjects, like necromancy, various techniques and predatory spirituality. It's fun to claim. It's fun for them. It's not fun to read, but it's fun to claim all of these things, all of this experience and mastery and wisdom and knowledge about these restricted subjects that are actually dangerous and not easy to just do. I like to compare it to a serpent, right? I feel like a lot of ignorant people nowadays, they love to abuse animals for their own enjoyment, even if it might not look on the surface like they're abusing it, out of ego. So, you know how a lot of people think that snakes, especially vipers, anything venomous, they are very beautiful. Some of them look like little dragons. Some of them just have exquisite patterns. They're just beautiful and elegant. And out of those people, how many would not only respect the snake, respect the animal, and show it the reverence it deserves, but leave it the hell alone and not use it to flash all over social media, but also let it exist and respect it exactly the way it is without trying to alter it to be less dangerous, but more showy. I feel like a lot of people approaching ascetianism in the public community start to sound like they are approaching a beautiful, exquisite viper, but they're like, man, I am not a fan of that neurotoxic venom that is probably going to kill me in less than 2 minutes. So let's just defang this viper, and now it can be my little friend, and it can sit in my lap, and it's cute, and I can pet it, and it's a good time for everybody. And everybody look at my snake. I'm so witchy with my snake. It's like, good grief. That is what so many people sound like in ascetianism, unless they are mature, which is so rare. I'm sorry, but oh my gosh, it's so rare. Unless they're mature or have some kind of background already in occultism, or especially in traditional occultism. And it's funny because a lot of people don't like to think, I do that too, because, I mean, it's not easy to admit, but on top of that, sometimes it only shows itself after several years of the person, being around the path. It's really strange to watch, a little bit frustrating. And yeah, it definitely doesn't make you friends when you're thinking, wow, I just don't want to listen to you talk. I don't like the sound of your voice, and of course it's online, but just, dude, when are they going to shut up? Lately I'm thinking that. And as it ties into initiation, how many people truly have initiation in the Ascetian current? And if you're sitting here thinking, like, I've never had remote contact at all with the order in the way that they make it expressly clear that you need for initiation, right? Like, I've never been associated with it, but if you're sitting here thinking like, oh, that's me, I have enough initiation, you're part of the crowd that I'm talking about. I think people tend to forget, the common mind tends to forget that this is only the tip of the iceberg, and we ultimately don't know that much about the path. I mean, does anybody have any idea how much of Ascetian magic is not shared with us? There's a lot. And how many people are willing and ready to fully accept and fully acknowledge with fearlessness the fact that, there will be currents and doorways and techniques and bits of knowledge that they will never be allowed to see or touch. I guess this starts to tie into gatekeeping. You see a lot in the surface community, the clapbacks, whenever there's a conflict, it's always, there's no right path, there's no wrong path, there's only your path, or no path is superior to another, or it isn't your place to gatekeep or judge another's path, everybody's valid, all these things that, if you approach it from a more traditional eye, are very much untrue. You can't separate the viper, from its venom, just the same that you can't separate initiation from Ascetianism. You can't separate gatekeeping from Ascetianism, because it's not that some rando on the internet is standing there being a gatekeeper of Ascetian magic, it's not, no. Like, just because maybe somebody tells you something in an attempt to help with understanding, doesn't mean that they are a gatekeeper. It means, hey, there are subtle gatekeepers in this path. And there's also the fact that this system of magic is very restricted, and you're not gonna see the deepest, darkest parts of it without several veils of initiation, without passing through all of that. And people don't seem to want to embrace and admit that. But I guess some people, I feel like personally, some people need to be reminded that gatekeeping is a thing. You can't just approach Ascetianism and make it into what you want it to be. You can't, for instance, approach it and, be like, well, they say triangulation is needed to validate a soul, right? Members of the order, guarded techniques. Well, fuck that. It makes me feel cute and powerful to look at somebody and be like, oh God, I found a scorpion, or I found this or that lineage, and or I found out all these things. It's like, no, You know, you can't change the path to suit your own desires and expectations. You can't, you know, just decide to work a certain kind of magic just because it's appealing to you. You know, I think more people need to be able to recognize that, you know, necromancy, for instance, and ascetianism is not the same thing as like what you would find on the surface level market of like occult material. You know, all those alluring things that you might read about in the Violet Throne, but there's not as much information about, but you have to like branch out and look at other tomes to try to find more information about it. That's your cue that it's something that's guarded behind initiation and secrecy within the internal order. And, you know, there's no feasible way around that. I guess today I was kind of just thinking, you know, maybe some people need that reminder that when you're talking about traditional occultism, you know, that word is already being abused. Gosh, I'm sorry, but I feel like far too many people call themselves traditional occultists, but they're not. And you can tell easily there's a hallmark energy signature of somebody that's truly involved with a traditional system in a deep way. It's there in the fabric of their energy, very, very obviously. If you are even slightly sensitive, you can pick up on that easily. And too many people, gosh, I feel like they're out saying, you know, I'm in a very traditional system and I've been doing it for 14 years. And you look at what they're talking about and it's some crackpot fool, you know, that's like claiming ancestry and techniques and affiliation with stuff that they've never even remotely been privileged with access to. You know, it's things that they've never seen. And that's so common, especially in America, but other places too. You know, I think new and maybe even older seekers alike kind of need caution. You know, I was thinking about this lately. I was thinking, wow, where is the respect? You know, not just plain old respect, you know, that like, oh yes, this is a great path. No, not that. I'm talking the respect that you would show a dangerous lion, you know, that's lying down in the grass. Like, would you just run up to that lion and be like, kitty, and try to pet the kitty? Please don't do that. I hope you wouldn't do that. But it's kind of like the same thing with ascetianism, right? Like, you wouldn't run up to that lion and be like, kitty, 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 you know, we're best friends now. You're gonna die, probably. Would you, if you're in an area that has venomous snakes, would you run up to that snake, be like, new pet, new friend, you know, come to mama, you're my new friend? No. But it's like, so many seekers seem to treat ascetianism that way. You know, it's like you're running up to the lion, you know, you're my best friend now. And it's like that false sense of feel-good wholesomeness that people think constantly pervades every single possible facet or aspect of ascetianism. You know, it's easy enough to think you're a dark, dangerous witch when you've never faced danger once in your life. It's like, to the people, you know, making it be known to everybody on the internet how dark they are, how affiliated they are with dark energy and like dangerous, openly dangerous, restricted magical techniques and paths. It's like, kind of just want to ask them sometimes, like, have you ever faced danger yourself? Do you even know what it is? You know, where is the respect and caution, you know, that you would show a dangerous animal? Or, you know, even, you know, I like to talk about martial arts a lot because it's something I've been doing for a while. And I also feel like for myself, you know, an American that hasn't had contact with any traditional system before ascetianism. You know, that was my first path that I discovered. For someone like me, it's a very nice analogy to make, I guess. It's a nice tradition and practice that kind of, I feel like, makes some cultural elements of Ascetian magic kind of fall into place in some way of understanding. But it's like, say you are training with the sword. I have started in a secondary style. We are working with the famous sword. And it's just, it pervades every aspect of the martial arts culture, like how you treat a sword. You know, even when we are handling a wooden sword, which is what we're given when we're first starting out, it's either wood or plastic, and they don't look goofy. They look decent, you know. So wood or plastic, sometimes aluminum, but unsharpened like mine is. It looks like a sharp sword, but it's not. It's just, you know, safe aluminum that you can practice with. Even when we're not handling a live sword, it's just ingrained in the culture to show it respect and reverence and caution. I don't know what a better word for it is. You know, you bow in and out at the beginning of class. You don't screw around with your sword and flail it around. You don't go, you know, randomly picking up your phone being like, look at me, I'm a badass, I'm a samurai. You know, I killed 3 people today. It's like, would you shut up? That's a wooden blade, okay? Get back in line. You know, do your craft, do your form. Like, if somebody acted like that, they would get eaten alive in the dojo. So I like that example because it's like people just act that way toward Ascetian magic. And it's like, do you have any idea the culture that you're dealing with? Obviously not. You know, I think back on some of my teachers, my main sensei and the secondary sensei that helps him. They are 2 of the most chill, calm people that you will ever meet. They can have a conversation with anybody. You know, they can talk to anybody about anything, it feels like. And they're very laid back, you know, and God, you would never expect some of the stuff that they can do. You know, but you don't forget if you're, you know, an initiated student, you know, there's, you know what I mean, when it comes to martial arts, if you've been training there for a while, you know, even though they're calm and relaxed, like, shit can hit the fan in just a few seconds if you have to fight them. You know, like when I was sitting in on a belt test, you know, I'm watching one of the chillest guys that I know, one of the apparently least threatening people I know. Lightning fast kick, lightning fast jab, and then all of a sudden I see blood. I'm like, God, I'm glad that's not me, but it probably will be later. My point with that is that when it comes to the occult, you know, the most dangerous people that you will ever know, if you ever know them, are people that you would never expect it from. They're people that, I mean, when it comes to the traditional scene, you know, the guarded, secretive, private side of the occult, those initiates, you're not going to know what they can do. They're not going to be online bragging about how dark they are, boasting about their dark powers and their dark magic. And they're not going to be like, I'm a necromancer and I use a wand and I cast a master magical circle the other day and I spoke to Set and Osiris and Anubis and fuck, I just got 5 different Egyptian names because I'm that damn special. And guess what lineage I am? Like, you're not gonna see that from people that, I mean, I challenge you to try to sense the energy of anybody, if you know or have an inkling that this person has experienced. Like, try to sense the vibrational difference between those people and the ones that I talked about earlier. I mean, there's no comparison. And the point with the martial arts subject was that those people and that part of the occult go through, or they go to extreme lengths to hide what they are capable of. They don't want you to know what they don't want you to be aware of what they know. They don't want you to have any awareness whatsoever over the things that they are capable of. You know, the proverb that was shared, the skillful hawk hides its claws. I mean, really, it's not a perfect comparison because obviously martial arts isn't the same thing as the traditional occult scene in all cases. But just wanted to reiterate that if somebody truly is experienced and knows what they're talking about, knows what they're doing, and has contact even anywhere near those scenes that have real initiations and real magic, like, you're not gonna know barely anything about them. They're not gonna tell you all about themselves. They're not gonna, be in a chat room boasting about all their abilities. That's not a thing that ever happens. And so you will see, of course, if you dare to point that out, you're gonna see people being like, well, who the hell do you think you are? You're not a gatekeeper. You don't get to dictate who is or isn't what, and you don't get to tell me like blah, 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 blah. I've been a witch for decades, and like, you don't know my path. There's no right or wrong path. There's only your path, and all the stupid clapbacks. It's like, God, you can only try to help. You can only attempt to steer somebody in the right direction. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does, and it's good to at least try, right? Sometimes people listen. But I thought it would be an important thing to discuss because it's a pitfall that a lot of people, wander into that, and sometimes they climb back out, and then sometimes they're stuck forever. But, it's not a safe, simple system. It's not, we're always sitting in a circle, holding hands, chanting like, oh God, I love purple too. Best friends forever. There are liars around. There are people that are just plain delusional. There are dangers to the system itself. I really wish more people treated it with the respect and caution that it deserved. But at the end of the day, somebody is not your ultimate spiritual family or your friend even just because they love violet or some surface level trait, I think even the community can be really deceptive, and today's video, I guess, was just about trying to express that, there's much more to the path than what you might see on the surface. And if you are one of those people that came into it without experience or came into it without, the hardcore secretive experience, please, give it the due respect it deserves. And I guess let's all just remember, how little we know. Let's all keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that, words don't mean anything in the end. We can all rejoice with the most beautiful words we can think of, the most elaborate, flowery text, and in the end, it does not matter. There have been plenty of people that had all kinds of things to say about, what the path meant to them and who and what they were, all kinds of stuff. And a lot of those people disappeared, or they fell in time and the path kind of chewed them up and spit them back out, and they gave up. So, there will always be the less than pleasant adversarial elements of the path. And, I think being an adversary and embracing that draconic flame there's so much more to it than, sharing cute pictures and edgy, the edgelord art and all the superficial things, that people do. There is a real, very raw initiation, like a raw devastation behind, some of this energy. So anyways, that was my main message for today. I hope, at least in time, that I can become more patient. But anyways, I guess stay curious, stay humble, and never stop questioning.